Just one more short piece, and this is the title piece from The Hard Problem, called The Hard Problem. Okay, let's just calm down. Let's just approach this rationally. There's no need to go getting all belligerent. There's no need to invoke unicorns and death and boobs. There is a need for precision and measured thought. There is a need for no emotions and the absence of freaking out, and only for a very serene sciencing. Science says that the hard problem comes in trying to explain consciousness. The scientists get all fussy and fidgety, as if every single one of them is wearing woolen underpants, when they try to articulate what consciousness is. Certainly, according to science, our human experience should be able to be explained as a complex system of firing neurons and chemicals and blood runnething through our unholy veins. But the hard problem for the itchy scientists comes after all the neural paths are charted, after every chemical is taxonomized and neatly labeled in block print, after every last drop of blood has been accounted for. The hard problem exists on the other side of answers, in the quiet valley where the itchy scientists receive the hard problem mimeographed on a single white sheet. Question: what is it like to be an alive human, having these insanely beautiful experiences of walking through the world? Please only use integers in your answer. The scientists scratch themselves raw. There's talk of eczema and flaking. There are very many soothing tubes of creams. All the equation and maths and very complicated computations might not explain it, might not fully articulate how fucking awesome it is to exist. If the physical data cannot perfectly describe the consciousness of the human animal, then what can? Something metaphysical, something spiritual or new age or woo-woo? The scientists scratch and scratch and scratch through their skin and into the warm blood of muscle. They sink into the throbbing of organs, down to the bones where they whittle away to the marrow, and then, finding nothing, start on their heads, scratching off their hair and encountering the skull, boring holes and cracking themselves open, burrowing down through the grayness until all that remains of each of them is a single finger poking at an almost indecipherable wisp of somethingness. This wisp, you see, is the unspeakable integer, uncovered there in the green valley of silence, where 17 disembodied fingers float in the air, each pointing to its own answer. And so goes the itchiest problem in the history of the universe. The writer's hard problem is similar to the itchy scientists, except the writer is not itchy. She is overflowing with ennui. Perhaps we might say she's watery. Consider every silence between every word ever written a dark drop in a vast ocean. Consider how many quiet oceans we've filled with our tomes of words, and how those seas of silence are where we now swim, struggling for shore. The watery writer writes and writes and writes, a lifetime of words she writes, and still they cannot begin to articulate the love that has wound its way inside her, slowly over centuries, the cool, clear water working quietly, indecipherably, until there is a shallow creek bed cut there in the bones. This is her love that has worn away such hardness after millions, after billions of years. But there is no way to say this, no way to truly write it, to telegraph the bright life, the glare of it, how it hurts and how it's beautiful, how the lifeness of everything grows loud, like a great metal ship blaring its foghorn as it infinitesimally moves toward land. There is a ship-shaped meteor approaching. There is a meteor-shaped ship. We should be living as if every moment the bigness is bearing down on us in a deafening and blinding and overwhelming in every way whoosh, but shit and fuck and shit. There is no way of saying this. There is no way of saying life. There is no way of saying cataclysm. There is only profanity. There are only water metaphors and images of vast black oceans. There is only a great white ship with colonies of seaweed-stained barnacles clinging to the hull. There are only meteors that look like cheese or deep-sea sponges or the squishy brain of God. There are only space rocks shifting around out there, hopeless. And what of us, of our hard problem? Forget the scientists, forget space. I mean, Who are you? I mean, tell me what your version of being alive is. For the rest of our days, you'll work on an equation or a theorem or a very complicated computer program, and I'll sit here at my desk writing. When we're old and gray, with very many grandkittens and great-grandkittens, we'll exchange projects in an effort to understand the other's reality. You will have made me a robot that perfectly duplicates the you I fell in love with back in our younger days. I will have written you a fat book full of thinly veiled, cat-laced stories chronicling the previous 65 years. I will connect electrodes to my head, and the robot will control me with the powers of its mind. You'll read my book and slowly absorb my style, and then, on the day you finish the book, you will take up the pen and continue on where I left off. Eventually, I will happily play video games while you labor at your desk, depressed. We won't even know what happened, only that the other person seems so familiar, as if we knew them in a past life. I will watch you and remember what it was like to be me. You will watch me and remember yourself. And eventually, in the end, I hope it's no longer clear which life we lived, nor what we felt. I just want to show you something. I mean, everything. Thanks.